Hey, welcome to Genre Exposure, a film podcast. Join us as we explore the wide world of cinema, broaden our horizons one movie at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Dustin, and for the first time in a little while, I am here with Michael.
Hello, everyone.
And Jason.
Hey, Michael, what's going on, man? It's good to see you.
I was scratching the mic doing the ASMR thing as Dustin started. So
maybe it's in there.
It's a little clip of the behind the scenes that Dustin's going to throw up on the OnlyFans page.
When we sit here for like 5 minutes and just do really weird shit.
Yeah. It's longer than 5 minutes. It's a lot longer than 5 minutes.
Feels longer. Oh, man, we are so happy to have you back.
We are.
I'm happy. Did you preface it?
I said we might have a guest because I never want to jinx it.
Oh, yeah, because my schedule's fucked up and I do stupid shit all the time.
Yeah, that's the fun behind the scenes things. We've tried to have you on like every episode this October, and we just kept being like, well, that one doesn't work. Let's do this one. That doesn't work. Let's do this.
I'm kind of glad that I didn't come in on the Friday the 13th one because you motherfuckers went over 3 hours, and I would have been like, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of talking about it.
I honestly could have talked more about it.
I'm going to go home.
Yeah, I really could have kept going, but then I kind of looked at my phone and I was like, ooh, we've gone on way too long.
And so Groucho is probably the only one who's listened to the whole thing.
Surprisingly, a lot of people have listened to that one.
Our mutual friend Brian listened to it, and he really dug it.
Oh, well, he doesn't have anything else to do.
He thought it was funny.
It's either he can watch Godzilla for the 5 millionth time
And fall asleep
promptly or listen to this.
Hey, we'll get to Godzilla one day. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't actually listen. Maybe he fell asleep midway like he normally does, and it just let it play.
I imagine most people listen to it after about 20 minutes, just go into like a fugue state. And then when they come to again, it shows that it's all played on their podcast.
But it's embedding itself subconsciously in their head.
We don't have the Netflix thing that's like, are you still watching or are you fucking somebody right now?
And then they wake up like in the middle of the night and they're like, what if there was a sequel to Jason Takes Manhattan?
Dude, I doubt anyone's fucking well listening to our podcast.
They might be.
I mean, if you are, hey, how's it going?
ASMR time.
Oh, no. We are talking about a movie today, incidentally.
We are?
Yes. Murder Party from 2007. Ooh. This was your pick, Michael.
It was.
Jeremy Saulnier directed it. It's his first debut feature.
Mm-hmm. And it fits squarely into the Halloween theme.
It does. It's on brand. And now I think we've only got 2 more films to go, and we've done his whole filmography.
Oh, shit, that's right.
So, Michael, if you just keep bringing them every time you drift back
I will make time when Green Room
for sure.
I will just take time. And
Blue Ruin, too, is amazing.
Yeah, Blue Ruin's great, yeah. I mean, I don't feel like being as depressed. That one's a real downer.
Yeah.
I mean, not like Green Room is,
At least it has sort of a happy
Sound of Music or anything. It's like, oh, it is. There's a lot of Nazis in both of them. Forgot about that.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
But first,
Nazi punks, fuck off.
We're going to do all our usual stuff, talk about what we've been watching. Instead of a shout out, there's an event that happened that occurred to me we have not talked about on the podcast. And it seemed like now is a good time to talk about it because Michael is here and he was also involved.
You didn't talk about it?
No.
How did that happen?
How did that happen?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Wow.
Which event?
The Goblin Show.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
Yes, we all went to see Claudio, Simonetti, and Goblin live perform the score of Demons.
Whilst the movie played. Yes, at the Lexington Opera House. We felt very snooty and uppity.
It was, yes.
It was a much different experience. Jason and I saw Suspiria.
Yeah, I couldn't go to that one, and I hated myself.
That was like almost an art installation.
Yes, it very much was. Like after watching Murder Party, I was like,
It was like a big black box, basically, is what they had for that.
Yeah,
one.
it was much more intimate.
Yeah,
and really kind of cool, like because you're right on top of them while they're playing it. But it was also crazy loud.
Yeah.
For Suspiria, but
Well,
I mean, it's
Suspiria's
supposed to
a
be.
soundtrack anyway.
But yeah, this one felt
It was more grandiose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. It was really fun.
Yeah. For some reason, I decided to friend Claudio Simonetti on Facebook because I was like, it says add friend, and I was like, well,
why not?
Why not? He only ever gets like 3 likes on his posts ever. Wow. And so I was like, you know what? He actually answers people all the time. Cool. So I thought about asking him. Jason has a beef with the show. Everything was verbatim, note for note, except during the motorcycle chase scene in Demons, for some reason, they did not play
They didn't play Fast as a Shark by Accept.
Yeah, and we don't know why.
Does Claudio not like it?
That's where Jason immediately went and was like...
I'll be upset, man.
He was just awesome. Very, very butthurt about it. And
Udo Dirkschneider will come kick his ass.
I wonder if... that'd be funny if they had beef somewhere. Like they met somewhere.
Ooh,
and then
yeah.
it's like, no, we're not playing it, ever. We're not playing it.
Yeah, it was weird because my thought was like, was it a rights thing maybe? But then I was like, how does that work?
Yeah, you can play a person's
cover
song.
something. So
not,
yeah,
you can play anything you want live.
So I don't really know. It was still fun. And then
it was
after
awesome.
the
Don't get me
movie,
wrong.
they did a set of just their, popular greatest hits and stuff. That was cool. I enjoyed them covering the Halloween theme and Tubular Bells.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And kind of shifted it into Goblin style.
Yeah, that was neat.
Every time I see get even close to Goblin, my brain's immediately like, I need a keyboard.
Hell yeah.
I always forget how good the score to Phenomena is. And then I hear it live, and I'm like, shit, that is a really good score. I never think about it.
I'm impressed by how good his band is.
They're
how
insane.
Good Goblin is. And I guess there's only one original member.
Claudio's the only original member.
Okay. Yeah. But damn, they're just very, very talented musicians, and you kind of don't realize it from listening to the scores of the film because you always think like Claudio, he's the mastermind behind it, but then you watch his band play and you're like, damn, it's really good.
It was really fucking awesome.
Takes it even further. So that's awesome. It's still going on, I think. A lot of the stops have already came and went, but I'll link to the event thing about it, and then maybe people can kind of look for it in the future years if it rolls around again.
Well, they've done Suspiria, they did Deep Red.
Tenebrae sounds an obvious choice to me.
Yeah, and these seem to sell well for them.
There was almost every seat was filled for us. So
yeah, I mean there was a lot of his posts right after the show we went to were completely sold out.
Awesome,
completely sold out venues. That's
great.
So
if you can't catch it, do it.
Good for him.
It's so worth it too.
Indeed.
Well, all that said, what have you guys been watching?
Would you like to go first, Michael?
I can.
As our special guest.
Jason and I had to compromise because the stuff I'm watching, you all have already talked about. So I'm watching One Piece, which I like.
Nice.
Jason and I got together this week and watched Talk to Me, which you've already done.
Fucking awesome. I concur.
You guys both liked it, right? Yeah.
Oh,
great movie.
Incredible.
Great movie.
We were shitting around before we started this officially and just... I wish more films had the balls to just not explain everything.
Hell yeah.
Just a couple of lines is all it took. That's everything you need to know.
All we need. Had some fun lines. They mixed some good humor in there.
Actual likable characters.
Yeah,
actually like.
Even the characters that you weren't supposed to like.
Yeah, because there's no real bad guy.
You still what's her name? The two that actually have the hand. They're not super likable, but yet they are still.
They're kind of your average, shitty teenagers, but they're not monsters. They're
and
not
you still
people.
Feel bad when everything's happening.
Because they're kind of almost they almost bully the lead a little bit at first, where she's like an outsider.
Yeah.
But then after it gets a little bit further in, they're more in step with her. Yeah.
So yeah, we watched that, and so that one's already been talked about. But Jason was kind enough to give me one that we both already watched too.
In my magnanimous, selfless act.
But Never Hike Alone 2 came out for Friday the 13th. And I actually was going to watch that the night of Friday the 13th. And it apparently didn't drop till
it didn't get posted till very late or early, I guess, Saturday the 14th.
Yeah, which was really a bummer. So I ended up watching part 7 instead.
I'm sorry.
Wow, what'd you pick that one?
Piper was like...
Did you just skip to the last 15 minutes or something?
No, actually, so Piper watched it with me, and she was like, this is bad. I was like, yeah, this one's not very good.
Yeah, it ain't good.
And part of the problem was that I didn't have my glasses fully adjusted, and I thought it was part 6. And 10 minutes in, I went, God damn it. This isn't what I thought it was.
That's when you get your ass up, hit the eject button.
Well, at that point, I was like, this isn't what I thought. And Piper's like, just leave it. It's fine. So I left it, She got to experience. She was like, "Why does that girl have psychic powers?" Like, it's better that you don't ask questions.
Why does Jason keep coming back from the dead?
There's which answer do you want?
Not the worm one.
Yeah.
So what you think about Never Hike Alone?
I really, really liked it. I'll do the official thing of what I'm supposed to do here. It is.
You remember how this works?
Yeah. Directed by who's that guy? What's that guy's name? Vincente De Santi.
Yes, Womp Stomp Films.
Yes. So I had watched Never Hike Alone. I didn't watch the mountain one though.
Never Hike in the Snow.
Yeah.
It's just a slight prequel.
Yeah. You don't really need to. You get a little bit, but not a whole lot. Yeah.
How is this movie so much better than so many of the sequels?
Because they get it. The filmmakers get it. They understand Jason Voorhees. The only thing this movie lacks that makes it a real Friday the 13th movie, besides just a stupid, little TM mark.
Boobs?
Damn right.
Yep.
If this had some boobies,
it came close.
It came close.
It came close to boobies.
But
it was really freaking me out though, because the guy's name was Gino, and that's my brother-in-law's name. And so that girl's like, "Oh, Gino," and I'm like, "I don't like this. Oh no, this isn't doing it for me."
I mean, I assume if it wasn't, pretty much made for YouTube, it probably would have had some.
Yeah, that's really the restraint there, probably.
But it feels like such a direct continuation of the whole franchise. Mm-hmm. Like Never Hike Alone could have just been put it in there anywhere.
Yeah.
But this one feels like a total continuation.
Well, it's the fact they dropped in Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis and have
he's great.
Picked that up and ran with it.
You also have Vincent Guastafaro.
Sergeant Rick Cologne.
Yeah, Rick Cologne,
nice.
who is now Sheriff Rick Cologne.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Quite a few other fun little cameo drops. I noticed when I was looking it up, the female lead, Dr. Diana Hill, she was in another Friday the 13th fan movie called Jason Rising.
That was the one I mentioned on our episode,
yes, okay.
So it was kind of cool to see them take from other things and bring them in.
It also had Shelley at the end.
Yes.
Not the character Shelley, but the actor.
Larry Zerner.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, the kills are great.
They're pretty good.
For a YouTube, I don't know what the budget was.
They did a crowdfunding thing for it, so
okay.
You can probably find that out if you care. But
actually, some super killer cinematography in it.
Yeah, it looks good. It shot well.
It was the opening scene, the dive, the dream dive.
Yeah,
was actually the way they turned the camera. Was really smart.
I'm starting to see that shot turn up a lot these days.
Well, yeah, because somebody did it and it looks cool.
It's time to retire.
Yeah, well, you can't do it.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna film one of your jerk off videos, just whoa.
Oh, those are already artistic enough. Okay. I don't need any fancy camera tricks. Thank you.
It's all in camera. It's all there. It's all real, in shot, in frame.
One take.
I really liked it. Best part about it is it's free $99, so you don't have to pay anything for it. It's just there.
That helps.
I'm just rehashing what you all said in the 13th thing.
But for real, it's great because it's again, we don't know when we're gonna get another Friday the 13th movie, but this is keeping that candle burning.
I guarantee you, whatever we get that's officially Friday the 13th won't be as good.
No,
Probably not.
Whatever this Crystal Lake bullshit is not gonna. I don't want to shit on it before it comes out, but I'm dropping my pants right now.
If Brian Fuller stays involved, I'm interested.
I'm gonna have hope as long as he's in the mix, and then I'll see what happens. But if he, sometimes happens, he's there for the first episode and he's gone.
Discovery.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're getting the full slasher verse or whatever because we're gonna get Michael Myers TV show.
Yeah, Miramax landed that.
Of all the things that they were like, what don't people want?
Yeah, of all the franchises, I'm so done with Halloween.
Let's just make that.
I'm so over it.
I'm kind of bummed that A24 didn't get it because that would have been super interesting.
That was the hot rumor, and I was so excited when it was they're in the mix. They're at the end.
That would have the most potential. I'm just so tired of remakes and reboots and whatever.
The only thing I would like to see the rights go to somebody so they can take the lore and the name and do whatever they want with it. Because I want some more Season of the Witch shit.
Yes.
Well, that would be nice, but that's not going to happen.
Not with that attitude.
You got to believe.
Because if they're paying the money, they're paying that money for Michael Myers, not for the name Halloween.
Well, yeah, because I can't tell you how many people defend Halloween Ends online. Anytime somebody's like, I thought it was great, I'm like, I'm just keep scrolling because your opinion don't matter.
I mean, I will say in a vacuum, it has the best idea of those three.
Oh, sure, but that's not saying a whole lot. But yeah,
and then it's an awful idea when it follows the prior two.
If it were the first movie, I would have been more behind it.
Okay.
Anyway, shall I talk about what I?
I'm done.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, I went back to the '90s,
which
is kind of a barren area for
Idle Hands gave you that
film.
itch, huh?
I guess so. I don't know, but I went back to 1993. To Australia, to a movie called Body Melt.
Razorback.
Not Razorback.
Damn.
Body Melt's cool, though.
Body Melt. Yeah, I'd never seen it, and I always saw the poster, and I've read about it. It's like, someday I'm going to watch this. So I broke down and watched it. The synopsis is, residents of peaceful Pebbles Court, Holmesville, are being used unknowingly as test experiments for a new body drug that causes rapid body decomposition and painful death.
It's like almost Ozempic.
Right. A little gorier.
Yeah.
It's have you seen it?
Yes.
Dustin? Okay. Yeah.
It's very goopy. It's very, I'm going to say in the category of stuff like street trash.
Oh yeah. It's very, actually I watched it streaming and street trash was a suggestion right after that.
That's like the perfect pairing.
Yeah. So lots of cool gore effects, crazy movie. It's just, it's a batshit crazy Australian flick. So if you like gore, it's almost nonsensical. It's
an experience.
Yeah. I recommend it. It's pretty fun. I dig it.
What was that Brian Usna flick that has the real weird orgy?
Society.
Yeah.
That's another good pairing.
The shunting.
Yeah. Like if you want a triple feature.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the way.
That would be a night.
Yeah. So that's what I watched. I recommend it.
Cool.
How about you, Dustin? What have you been watching?
Well, I've also got a cycle back for it kind of thing. I went back to 1988.
Uh-oh.
Gotta go back in time.
I was 13 that year.
For Japanese film, of course.
That's 2.
This just got reissued on Blu-ray by Media Blasters. They're the ones that owned Tokyo Shock, a very good label for Asian films. And so they had this out back in the day, and they've been going through and kind of reissuing what they can onto current media. And so I checked out, directed by Akio Jisoji, Tokyo: The Last Megalopolis.
Is it animated?
So there is an anime version of it.
Okay.
That's where we're going to get into this. This is an adaptation of a really, really famous novel called Teito Monogatari. And it's sort of this sweeping big story of like the history of Japan, but mixed in with all this like supernatural and occult storyline that's fictional that gets like woven in between everything.
Are we sure it's fictional?
Well, as you go. But basically this film, live action film, it adapts the first 4 books of the novel series. Now there was also an anime OVA that came out a little bit after the film because the film did so well, where they also adapted those 4 books, each as like one kind of lengthy episode. And they leaned a little more into the horror elements in that. There's a lot of really gruesome characters and stuff. That's over here too. I think it's released as Dune Megalopolis. So that's, if you check this film out and like it, that's a way to get at more of the material. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of got this big ensemble cast. It starts out and it's in like the very end of the Meiji era. So it's like right when Japan's starting to westernize and bring in all this other influence and try to become like an actual like world power that, interacts on the global stage. And this guy shows up who's like this mystic, this wizard, who kind of resembles sort of like a 10th century Japanese soldier. He's got like the little like boy's cap sort of thing and like suit uniform.
Okay.
And his name is Yasunori Kato. And supposedly he's brought forth by like the vengeful spirits of the original people that existed in Japan before it was settled. And he wants to basically bring down society and completely ruin it in revenge. And he does that with his plot to awaken the spirit of Masakato, which is sort of like this founding deity thing of the area of Tokyo. It's supposed to be vengeful and angry. If he ever awakens, he would like destroy
He must take
everything.
the land that must be taken.
And he does this to kind of like, in the novel, it's like as the time goes on, he has like a different scheme and like he's trying to do something to awaken Masakato, and then different people come together to kind of stop him. It's very much like a Call of Cthulhu adventure in a lot of ways, but it focuses a lot on the Tatsumiya family, who, by their bloodline going back, have a connection to Masakado and some like psychic abilities, and so he's often trying to like manipulate that family. Like his first ploy is to like manipulate, I think it's like the sister of the lead guy, and to have her psychic energy call out and awaken Masakado, and then that doesn't work. So then he decides to like have her get impregnated to have a kid that he can like influence better and use her power to awaken it. And then it gets into stuff of like Chinese mysticism too, of like feng shui, like the actual feng shui, like the ley lines in the ground and redirecting energies and stuff. And he starts like redirecting energy to try to like force all the ley lines to forcefully awaken the spirit. And it was really the film and like the novel and the film were kind of the thing that popularized a lot of the supernatural ideas you see in like current horror anime, current supernatural anime. It's got a lot of the like onmyodo magic kind of stuff where they'll have like the paper scrolls with like stuff written on them and like hurl them and they burst into flames, or both Kato and then some of the other mystics who are on the good guy's side that try to stop him, they all use shikigami, which are where they have that folded up paper and they kind of do a spell and then it morphs into a creature that's like a servant creature that you can command.
Cool.
So all that cool like supernatural bullshit you see in anime now that you love, it all kind of goes back to being popularized from this novel.
All right. Well, it sounds badass. Is the movie good?
It's really cool. It's super fun. It's got a lot of like it's got a lot of like pedigree in it too. Some of the creature designs were done by H.R. Giger.
Oh, can't go wrong there.
Which famously, it's kind of funny because he designed some of the creatures to be like really huge, was how he envisioned them. And then they misunderstood and made them very tiny.
Oh no, it's like Spinal Tap.
Yeah. But yeah, just a lot of talented people in. Rintaro was the art director for it, and I think he also was sort of the animation director when they did the animated version as well. You'll know his name from a lot of different animes. He directed like the Galaxy Express 3.9 anime.
Oh yeah, okay.
A handful of other popular ones.
Old
at that
stuff
time.
I would actually be familiar with. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just this really cool, really sweeping, like epic historical tale, but with supernatural bits woven in. The novels go on much, much further and actually track on up to like modern day eventually. There was one more film that got made, Tokyo the Last War, that came out a few years later, and that covers the novel that's set around like 1945 area period. Unfortunately, there's never been any more films made, no more animation. I've always wished the novels would come out in English, but I guess it's such a huge work that like...
Let's put in Google Translate. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Maybe one day, if that progresses far enough. Yeah, but it's really cool. Worth looking into.
Cool. Awesome.
Right, so today we are talking about Murder Party from 2007. Michael, this was your pick.
Yeah. So you guys threw at me that you were doing films set on Halloween. And so like I think probably the immediate thought is like you either go with Halloween, one of the Halloween films, or for me, Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I was like, no, I'm not going to do Trick or Treat. Like everybody's seen Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
They should if they haven't.
I don't need an excuse to watch it. But then I was trying to think like kind of in the back catalog of some others that maybe people might not have seen that I still think are good. And then I landed on Murder Party and I was like, oh shit, I haven't seen that in forever. And I was hoping it held up. So we'll find out.
I guess we will.
We shall see.
But you'll have to help me out with character names.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're pretty generic and bland character names. Except for the one who's actually named for the actor. But the film centers around our protagonist, which is
Chris.
Played by Chris Sharp.
Yeah. I guess there's multiple.
Yeah, there's a couple. Yeah.
Chris, the film opens with Chris kind of walking down the street. You have a kind of Shaun of the Dead-ish opening where you're seeing like just normal everyday life, but it's setting the scene for Halloween already because you're seeing all these kids. I guess it's some New York town.
We're in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, it's Brooklyn.
Okay.
That's where we shot.
I don't know my boroughs. Showing all it actually looks really fun. Mm-hmm. And I think I've never lived in a big city, so I don't know what it's
that
like.
Vibe,
yeah, I know. I was watching this wishing that it was like that here, and there's nothing like that here.
Just everyone in costumes. Yeah.
Like even when I lived in Dayton, it was still like a lot more people,
right,
but still like really spread out, so there's not
right,
everybody walking around like that.
But there's it does a good job of setting the whole Halloween feel, the pre-credit sequence here.
And so Chris, we don't see him yet, really, but we do see him going to a video store, checking out some horror films on VHS, which I'm sure Jason was like instantly erect over.
I was. And the names of those movies are amazing as well.
I couldn't see them.
Yeah, I've got them here. Do you want to? You got them, Jason?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll do it. So the one he goes to watch first, it's called Scare Wolf.
Yeah. All right. Nice.
Please, I want to see this movie.
Yeah.
The other one is Zombie versus Unicorn's Horn.
Okay.
Which sounds like maybe it was a Chinese film that was translated over. And the last one is Xantha Croyd.
Now, you know that one's some extra shit, man.
Yeah, that's definitely
gotta
extra alien ripoff. Yeah, I'd watch all of them.
We're going to watch a whole adult male get birthed out of a person.
And on his way home, he's walking along and he comes across this black envelope that's been like blowing in the wind. And it's just kind of nice looking envelope. He opens it up.
Yeah.
And it's all fancy and it says you're invited to a murder party.
Come alone.
Come alone.
It's got a street address on there.
Yep. And we see him pop a prescription pill. We're not sure what it is.
His alarm, like his watch goes off, his beeper goes off.
And he takes his pill.
I'm assuming by the end of the film, I'm pretty sure it's some sort of anti-anxiety medication.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
there's one shot at the very end where they finally show you the label on the bottle.
I'm old and I can't see it from like if I'm sitting in the bed and I'm watching it and I can't, like the TV's too small.
Have you tried changing your prescription of glasses recently?
Listen, mister, I had to break out a magnifying glass and my phone flashlight to read the menu at a restaurant.
Wow.
I didn't have my glasses.
I thought you did.
I didn't have my peepers.
Oh.
No.
Wow. I look over and this fucker sitting there like with his phone flashlight on.
I am now the old man.
Looking and I'm like, do you have... I asked him if he had one of the ones that like built in that they used to sell on TV. Know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Ooh, nice. I can actually use that.
I know.
I don't know how much longer the show's going to go then, man. Jeez.
Yeah, so Chris takes the invitation and he goes up into his apartment, gets himself set in, pours himself a big bowl of generic looking candy corn, goes to sit down to start watching his flicks and is thwarted by his roommate.
Who is Sir Lancelot?
Sir Lancelot.
The cat.
A gorgeous cat.
That is a beautiful
Gorgeous,
cat.
pretty cat.
Played by Puff Snooty.
Puff Snooty is the best name for a cat ever.
So Piper watched this with me, and she was horse laughing at this scene.
It's edited great. The back and forth between him and the cat.
She's like, Sir Lancelot, can you please move?
move.
And the way that they shoot it, it's just like the cat's just staring at him, cut back. Chris staring at the cat, cut back. And it goes on like 5 seconds longer than it really needs to.
Yeah.
Which makes it
timed.
funny.
Yeah, that makes it funny. Yeah.
And then finally, Sir Lancelot wins.
It just says fine.
Fine, you win. So he goes and he looks at that his invitation again that he's found outside, and he thinks, "Oh, I'm gonna do this."
Yeah, why not?
So he's got to do a couple things before he goes. We see someone smash his pumpkin
Yeah, that's in the opening.
in the very opening credits. So you see him reach out, grab this pumpkin, and then the next scene you see him turning it into pumpkin bread, which I think is hilarious because that's not the type of pumpkin that's baked into pumpkin bread.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's
but
fine.
makes
It's
it
fine.
funny,
Right.
because of what happens with that.
Well, the other thing is you see him putting raisins in, and that was where I was like, oh, he just lost me on this.
Yeah. Who the fuck puts raisins in pumpkin
I
bread?
don't think raisins belong in pumpkin bread, but I like raisins, so I think the two would be fine.
Yeah, but they don't belong there. No.
He also prints out directions on Not MapQuest.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point in the film, I had a weird thing where I was like, when the fuck does this movie take place? Because he's getting VHS tapes to watch.
What
He
year is it?
He has a laptop, but he's printing MapQuest directions. And then it clicked with me that, like, fucking 2007.
Yeah.
All these things were true.
It was that transition period. VHS was truly about to die, and everything was going to smartphones and.
Well, we still had VHS when we worked together at the warehouse.
Yeah, but when was that, dude?
2007.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
it was actually
shortly thereafter.
2004, I think.
Yeah. So around this time, that's when it was going away and dying.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, this is such an interesting time. Mm-hmm. But you never really consider that.
Yeah, it's time capsule.
It's hard to think that that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost.
Not quite, but enough that you can say it's close enough to 20 years ago.
And then we find out that Chris is really resourceful too.
Yeah, he's got to make a costume,
he doesn't have
a costume. So he goes and digs through. I'm assuming the way he's still got boxes put up and stuff. Maybe he hasn't lived here super long.
Or he's just too lazy to put them up.
Yeah.
I've still got boxes I haven't unpacked.
Digs out this big costume thing that you think he's going to wear.
It's very elaborate.
But then we get a full-blown Sam Raimi shot of editing spliced together of the montage of him putting together his costume. And what he's built is this very elaborate cardboard knight armor.
It's fantastic.
It's
awesome. Really good.
I couldn't have done this in the limited time that he had,
And it seems to suggest he must have some affinity for that stuff because it's knight armor is his costume, and then his cat's Sir Lancelot.
Yeah. He's a fantasy nerd, much like we are.
Lining up.
So he takes his pumpkin bread and he takes his
printed directions.
He leaves, but wait, he comes back and gets the invitation.
Yep.
Because he left it laying on the counter.
And the bowl of candy corn.
And
he tells the cat, I'm taking the bowl of candy corn.
But then he sets it outside, this open bowl of candy corn with a sign that says, help yourself. And it's like, ugh.
I'm not touching unwrapped candy corn.
I mean, I know things have changed post-COVID and the way we look at the world. But even
before,
then, I was like, no, I'm not touching that.
It's very sus.
That's got somebody.
Before we get too far down the road here, what genre is this, by the way?
Oh my God, it is a horror comedy.
Yeah. Horror comedy.
We're on that train still.
Yeah, I can't think of any other real.
It has moments where it's not comedic, but it's overall the tone is definitely horror comedy.
I think like the final act, it definitely leans more into horror, but the comedy is pretty throughout. I would say
Absolutely.
This is one of those
satire could apply, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one of those that I've heard people tell me like I didn't find it funny, and I'm like, really?
What the fuck's wrong with you?
I mean, like
those are the people you know to avoid.
I know comedy's subjective, but like the humor here is smart.
It's good.
It's smart humor, and the jokes are sly and slipped in, and they don't. I don't know. It's also not super slapstick either, so
right. But it's also not so esoteric that it should go above everyone's head.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. If you can get it, I don't know why they couldn't.
I'm not the brightest.
But so I love this next scene because the first thing he does is he's taking a train to get in the right area, and there's this rapper on the train that's just like right in his face, just rapping
He's
like full
aggressively
stop.
rapping at him. Yeah, and his eyes are just straight forward, wide. But you know what? I mean, I'm not really a big hip hop or rap fan, but I don't know. It didn't seem that bad. He seemed okay to me. I'd have given him $1.
It's just the situation is so funny. Yeah,
it's awkward.
So Piper has told me many times that I would not make it at all in New York because I will try to talk to people because it's the
you don't talk to people in New York.
I know it's the Southern in me that I have to like, and she gets mad at me now because we can't go anywhere because people will know me and I'll just start talking to them and carry on a conversation. And so she basically told me, she's like, when we go visit New York, you keep your fucking mouth shut. You don't look people in the eye. You look at their shoes and you don't talk to them. And I could see me talk. I could see me sitting in Chris's position being like, fuck yeah, man, get it. Yeah. Lay that shit down, brother. Oh, probably shouldn't say that. But yeah, lay that down. So then he gets off the train. To where he's supposed to go. He's really not in a good part of town.
No.
At all.
Yeah, this takes him far out.
It gets progressively worse the further he walks.
Then it goes to like one of my favorite scenes of the first act of the movie is him walking looking for this address, and he starts walking down this kind of like really dark alley. And then the next scene cuts to him just sprinting as hard as he can out of it because it's so terrifying. All of this intro is the perfect setup of Chris's character.
Yeah.
Like,
we knew everything we needed about him in the first, second couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's great. Well, he finally finds the door
It's kind of a warehouse.
Yeah, it's an old warehouse, yeah.
That he's supposed to go to. Goes in. Before he truly gets in, we kind of get a glimpse of what's going on inside.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in different costumes. We get a guy in a hoodie with a werewolf mask that's raised at the moment.
Yeah. That is the character Macon.
Played by Macon Blair.
Macon Blair.
The great Macon Blair.
Who's fucking great.
You're going to know him from other stuff.
He's an amazing actor. We got a guy, like a Victorian vampire dude.
Whose name is Paul.
Yeah. Played by Paul Goldblatt.
Who really hasn't done anything else.
Everyone in this movie is great.
Yeah, they're all fucking awesome.
And they haven't, some of them haven't gone on to do as much stuff as they should.
We have a zombie cheerleader, Sky, which is actually Jeremy Saulnier's wife.
Which I was sad because we'll get into it, but she's in the film a little less than the rest of this crew.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, she was really good though.
Yeah.
Then we also have...
well, here's our film shout-out characters now.
Yeah, we have a girl who's dressed as...
Chris.
From Blade Runner.
Daryl Hannah's character.
And that's Lexi, played by Stacey Rock.
Also didn't do anything else.
And then we get another guy dressed as one of the baseball Furies from the Warriors.
Yeah.
And that's Bill, played by William Lacey.
Yeah.
So this is our cast of characters.
Yeah, this is our core crew.
We have a couple more coming in, but we don't. These are the main ones.
And they seem fucking shocked that someone's actually arrived.
They're doing so. Like Lexi's doing coke.
Yeah.
Like as he walks in, and it's Macon's reaction. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, he puts his mask on.
So he gets there and he hands them the invitation, and they're like completely dumbfounded. They're reading the invitation and they're like, "He actually fucking came! Like somebody actually came."
Yeah. And then the Chris, the vampire dude, he sets fire to the invitation, and I love the way how he's like waving it around and distracting Chris while the werewolf dude sneaks up behind him with an axe.
And so we guess if you were not already, hip to the fact that this is actually going to be a murder party where Chris has been invited to be murdered. Macon is already trying to do it before it's even really started. But what we find out is there's actually this elaborate plan that all of these people...
Well, he goes to axe him, but his axe gets caught on the chain for the light bulb. So then they all just jump on him and subdue him and tie him up.
Throw him in like a rolly chair.
Yeah.
And there's a plan that they are going to kill whoever showed up.
Well, notably, first thing we learn is they're all artists.
Right. They're all art students.
They're very all up on their own
artists.
ass.
Well, they think they are, yeah.
Their plan is to kill whoever showed up, in this instance, Chris, and they're all going to do their form of art from it.
Yes, because they mentioned a guy named Alexander is going to give them a grant to fund their artistry if they do well.
So they're all very much like, oh, let's impress Alexander. Let's impress Alexander. There's a lot of dialogue between them. It's quite funny about this Alexander asshole.
It's like some mythical art world figure or something. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Chris is, sitting in the chair. He's gagged.
Oh, and they're also talking about maybe going to some guy named Cicero. He's having some big party.
Yeah.
And some of them are talking about just leaving. Because now that some guys actually showed up, they're getting kind of cold feet about killing somebody.
You can tell that some of them, they just thought it would be like, we're going to say we're going to do this, and then no one will show up, and then just fizzle off into whatever.
So each one of them has their own medium that they work in or whatever. Like Bill's a painter, Paul's a photographer, Lexi's videographer or filmmaker.
We don't find out too much about the cheerleader girl because she has an issue.
Yes.
Yeah, so he, before they tie him up, he gives them the pumpkin bread that he made.
Yeah.
And so as they have him captured, they decide they're just going to chow down on that.
Just Sky.
Yeah.
Sky's the main one eating it, really.
And she gets to the raisins and she's like...
Are there raisins in this? And he's like, he's gagged and he's like, And she's like, are they organic?
Oh.
And so Sky stands up and she's like, it's just something about the preservatives in them that really just... And then she just fucking faints and collapses, but hits her head on a metal rod that's laying on this warehouse ground and just like fucking dies. And the best part...
It's great because she gets up and you're not expecting it. She has basically a hole in her fucking skull.
Yeah.
And there's blood pouring out and she's just like, ow, sorry. I smell cut grass.
Yeah. And then she's gone. Like, she just drops
she
dead.
I love how one of the guys yells, "Should I call 911?" And Chris is like,
Yeah. Lexi just Sky just died. So at this point, like, it already sets the shock factor. You're like, oh shit, I see where this is going.
And they don't really shy away from the gore or anything either, which is cool.
"Oh yeah." So they don't want Alexander to find out that she's dead.
They don't want to be fuck ups.
Right. So they decide to hide her body in this bin.
But they roll her up in the plastic that's meant for Chris.
Right, yeah.
And then they can't figure out how to lift her because the plastic is tearing. And then they're like, but it was a deep freeze.
Yeah.
An unplugged deep freeze that they finally chuck her in.
So Macon, the werewolf, is all pissed off that this has happened. So he's, "I'm going to kill him now." And they think they have a jug of acid, right? And he's pouring this all over him. And he's like, "Yeah, die,
And it's funny because Chris is reacting and he's like, no.
But immediately as the jug empties, he's like, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry."
Then they start saying, "Do you smell pickles or vinegar?"
Yeah.
And they read what it says, acetic acid. What is acetic acid?
And it's funny that the one's like, I'm going to look it up on my phone.
Yeah, Lexi's, "I'm going to look it up."
And then you see them read it. Acetic acid is vinegar. So they've just doused him in vinegar, which does absolutely nothing. So
They really don't seem upset that Sky is dead either. It's like they don't give a shit.
meantime, like in the meanwhile though, in the meanwhile time, Bill has been sitting there just playing a PSP,
Which is another sign of the times.
You get little clippets of what Bill is playing because you'll have like something that'll be like headshot or something, you know, to kind of give you an idea that he's playing violent video games, which I think was a hello, you know, wink.
He does get a great line because they're talking about what they want to do and if they should kill him or not. And they ask Bill, and he says, "Well, I didn't come here for second-degree assault party."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little more serious and a little more like he's pulled away from the rest.
Yeah. Now I believe is when Alexander shows up.
Yeah, he
correct?
gets here, he calls, and they start freaking out.
And Alexander has a dog with him.
Hellhammer,
Hellhammer,
which was played by Samson Saulnier.
So it's
cool.
Jeremy Saulnier
he just comes walking in. I think he's supposed to be a priest of some sort, dressed as a priest.
Well, he's another vampire.
He's a vampire.
Oh, that's
too.
right. That's right. Yes, because he walks in.
And he's played by Sandy Barnett. We have to mention him because he does a great job in this role.
As he comes in, he's also got someone else in tow with him.
Yeah. Zyko.
Played by Dil Tangradi.
It's like this Russian dude who's not in the costume. Well, we don't think he's in the costume.
But he's got that like tracksuit mafia look to him.
Yeah.
Zyko's his drug dealer. He says, "This is my drug dealer." Yeah.
And it's funny because at first the group is very jealous because they think that Zyko is like another artist or something.
Yeah.
And they're really worried about like what's his standing with Alexander? Does Alexander like him more or?
Oh, and Hellhammer is also part dingo.
Oh yeah, they mentioned that.
But yes, to show that he's a vampire, he walks in and he just stops and like stares at Paul.
Yeah.
He's
what are you wearing?
"What are you wearing?" I'm a vampire.
And Paul's costume is much better than...
Yeah.
Paul has the full-blown like Taika in What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas Alexander looks like, I don't know, maybe like a 70s disco dancer.
Well, he looks like he's doing like a Vampire the Masquerade LARP.
That's good.
He's kind of really reminiscent of the Donald Logue character from Blade.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually the...
Could have been part of the inspiration. But yeah, he tells Paul to take out his fangs because he has much better resin.
Where did you get those?
Yeah, where'd you get? Yeah.
Because notably, Alexander has the like plastic like
Those
little
Halloween
kid.
novelty things. Yeah,
It's like I got him at a goth store. You know, he's like trying to play it off like he didn't put a lot of effort into this costume.
Alexander can have him looking so much better.
So he makes him take out his fangs, and he tells him to take his
take off your vampire coat.
Yeah.
Take off your vampire shirt.
He finally gets down to where he's got just like a t-shirt on underneath. Now take off your vampire pants. And whatever underwear Paul is wearing is quite hilarious.
Yeah.
And doesn't he make Zyko pull a gun on him too at first? Because
he makes him, let him know he's serious. Psycho's holding a gun on him to make him undress.
And then he tries to walk it back and say, "Oh, that's just a prop. It's not even
part of his costume."
And he's like, "What costume?" The dog starts sniffing around the bin.
Yeah.
So Lexi takes the dog outside and they hook him up out there.
And she feigns being allergic.
Yeah.
You can tell that like Lexi's trying to use like sex to lure Alexander. She's like kind of all over him. Yeah, sorry.
Alexander starts asking him what like pretentious art project they're gonna make this into.
Yeah, they start trying to explain their vision of how this is gonna go down.
Yeah.
He seems utterly bored with all of them.
He asked Bill, the baseball player, and he says, "I was just gonna cut his dick off and set him on fire."
They start kind of like starting to try to pitch Alexander like all their stuff, and Alexander is just like individually stroking the ego of each one, really setting them against each other.
And he has money for a grant.
Yep.
He has $300,000 for a grant that one of them will get if they impress him enough.
But Alexander has kind of a game that he wants to play with them first, really, before they get started.
He wants them to wait for the witching hour.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says that the act is the art, and at the witching hour, they'll stab him until he dies.
So in the meantime, he's gonna he sends somebody out for pizza, I guess.
Well, there's a whole thing where they debate about what food to get.
Yeah. And more great editing here, too. It's just pitch perfect.
It's back and forth about like the type of food they want to eat, and they land on pizza, and then there's even discussion amongst like what kind of pizza. And so it's finally Macon that goes out after the pizza.
But Chris has taken advantage of this opportunity and has loosened his bonds and escaped.
Yep.
And they turn around like, oh, he's gotten away, and they start chasing him.
He makes the absolute worst escape attempt possible.
Yeah, he finds a closet and gets in it. And he's like looking around for a weapon or something to use. And you get all these zoom ins.
Another great Raimi.
Yeah, it does the Raimi thing
aspect.
again.
You think he's about to manufacture some chainsaw hand.
And then he just comes out holding a bunch of junk and just kind of like haphazardly throws it at everybody and tries to run off. It's great.
The next scene, also brilliantly edited, is just him tied back up again.
Yeah.
But they used chains this time instead of rope.
Yeah.
We already see kind of the some like little things that are put around the room that are potential weapons that they want to try to use.
Axes, sledgehammers, chainsaw, an
But
electric
it's
chainsaw.
an electric chainsaw called Old Painless.
They get a lot of momentum out of that.
They at this point, Macon comes back.
Before he comes back, we see a shot of Alexander, and he's having sex with Lexi.
Oh yeah,
Right.
which does come back to be a funny callback because it's like he's apart, from the group, and Lexi's like pressed up against the glass in a full blown like Catholic schoolgirls in trouble
Yeah.
type moment. When he comes back, Macon's back, and he comes back and he's got the white paint all over his face. Mm-hmm. And we notice that Macon's already like paid a lot of attention to Lexi.
Oh yeah, he's upset about this.
Really smitten with Lexi, and the weirdest line in the whole movie.
Alexander has the best line.
Yeah. Alexander says, "Her vagina screamed at me."
Macon is obviously hurt.
Yeah, it destroys him, and he immediately just starts binge drinking, just like he's got the brown paper bag, and he's just knocking it back.
Pouring it all over himself.
And meanwhile, Paul has called someone and has asked them to come down. We're not sure who.
This is where the truth serum comes in,
this
right?
is when he wants to play his little game.
They start taking a bunch of different drugs.
Because the Russian dude, Zyko, has everything.
But then Alexander wants to escalate
Except for
it.
smack.
Except for
or
smack.
crank. He doesn't have crank. I don't know my drugs. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you won't make it in New York. Just don't go there.
But they bring out Truth Serum, and they want to play Extreme Truth or Dare.
And everybody takes it except for Alexander.
Well, he kind of cheats. He injects it into his pizza.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
Chris,
when
Chris notices, too, that he's cheating. He doesn't take it.
everybody is kind of like, they start to spill their guts here about everything. And personally, I thought this scene went on a tiny bit too long.
I found it kind of interesting.
It gives you finally their connections a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause at first they're just being goofy and they're making puns. And Alexander likes the puns. And he keeps saying, oh, you're my best friend now. And it's hilarious because Chris starts stamping his feet.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's got one.
Do you have something to say? I'm having one
Heck of a crazy
night.
But with a K, because I'm a knight. But then he says, I don't deserve to be punished. And they like that one.
Yeah.
They inject him with the serum too.
Yeah, that's when they bring him into the group now. He's part of the group. But this scene probably does give the most exposition.
The part I really liked is that Bill asked them if the rest of them, like what they think of him. And they talk about how they've talked about like kicking him out of the group.
Yeah. But
then they admit that it's because they think he's a better artist than the rest of them.
Right. And everyone is just being...
Yeah, and Lexi has this really poignant line that she says that... I meant to put it down word for word, but I forgot. So it's something about like how she hates when she goes somewhere and she sees good art because she knows that what she makes isn't as good. And when she sees good art, it makes her feel like there's no space for her to exist.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's some really good lines here.
I feel like that's an underscore of like all these characters and kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, and Chris shares that he was forced to take a dump in his pants at a wedding.
Yes,
and says that he just writes tickets all day. He like works for the.
Well, they flip out because he says he's a cop. And
yeah,
he works. He says I work for the NYPD. You're a fucking cop. Yeah. But no, you find out that he's a parking enforcer, which you actually see him in the opening shot. You just don't realize it's him.
Yeah,
because a lady's yelling at him.
Oh right, was given a ticket,
and he basically just admits that. He doesn't really have much going on in his life. He makes a very menial amount of money, and he said, "I just ruin people's day every day."
No kids.
He said, "No one's gonna know if I didn't tell anyone I'm here. No one's gonna miss me,"
which is really kind of sad.
His cat would miss him. I know Sir Lancelot would miss him.
I think what kept me liking this movie, spoiler, was how likable Chris is.
Mm-hmm. You really root for him.
If Chris was anything different, I don't think this movie would have worked.
Well, he's such a realistic character. I mean, we all know someone like Chris, or maybe we are someone like Chris.
Yeah.
You know?
But most importantly, there's no reason, like, even if you do think you're Chris, that doesn't mean that you aren't somebody with something. You know,
and there's nothing wrong with being Chris.
Yeah, that's
Chris,
the thing.
I hang out with Chris. He's watching horror flicks. He's got a cool cat.
Yeah.
I like candy corn.
Yeah. Yeah, so after their kind of truth serum,
they decide they need to party more and do some more coke.
Yeah.
And there's that great smash cut where Alexander is now fucking Paul in
Yeah.
the same position.
Well, I think Paul makes the statement about being bisexual.
Right, yeah.
And that he thinks everybody's bisexual or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know, also in that Truth or Dare, that's whenever Macon confesses to Lexi that he's always loved her.
He's kept his popsicle stick.
Yeah, he tells the story of they were in high school and they were out somewhere and they had popsicles and he kept the stick for forever as a memento.
Well, and she just really cuts him because he's like, "Do you remember this?" And he like describes it in detail, and she's like, "Vaguely."
Yes. But yeah, they want to kick it up a notch, and Alexander wants some crank, but Zyko doesn't have that on him.
But they now start to really party, and they're dancing. Macon at this point is just getting shit-faced drunk, pouring liquor all over himself. The focus is on him at this point because of what's going to happen with him in just a few minutes. But he actually comes over and starts trying to talk to Chris and like involving Chris and like trying to lament to him about everything. And so finally he decides like, fuck it, I'm going out. And he leaves. So he walks outside with the dog.
I love how nice he is to the dog too.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, Hellhammer, what you doing?"
Well, we also get the important scene with Bill too, because we're talking about his art. Bill's doing a painting or something, and he goes out. He went out to check on the dog.
Oh yeah, and Bill says he wants to kill the dog.
Yeah.
Bill has this very telling like little monologue with the dog of like, "I would kill you. I would fucking kill you."
Yeah, and he comes back and they're talking shit about his art. And Alexander has another great line. He says, "It's jejune." It's perfect.
Which has a great callback here in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all sitting around like shit talking Bill's art or whatever. But Bill does walk in and hears it.
Yeah. So
And
he knows what's going on.
But he acts like it doesn't bother him. Just kind of plays it off.
And this is where Alexander tells like, go get him a big bag of crank.
Yeah.
And then he's going to recite the Raven for them, the whole poem.
Start to finish.
Just to stall until Zyko gets back.
From memory, though, which is kind of impressive.
It is kind of impressive. Someone knocks on the door, just when he's talking about a rapping on the chamber door. And then it's the person that Paul called. And he says he never works without an assistant.
Yeah, to help get the lighting just perfect.
It's definitely some grad student or some art grad student or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
And she shows up and now Paul goes into work mode. He's like really trying to set up this shot of what he wants to do. Because I think at this point, they've all accepted they're not going to kill him. Mm-hmm. They've just realized it's not going to happen. They don't want to do it. It's not going to happen. They're just partying now. But Paul's still like, well, I'm at least going to take a picture.
Yeah, of him all chained up in the chair and everything else.
May as well get that.
But it kind of ticks everyone else off because they're like, well, you just brought in another person into our murder thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And Chris is like trying to get her attention, and he was like, run, run. She's like, it's okay. They do this all the time. We've done this before.
Yeah, it's funny. She's very oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah, it's like this. And this is when Macon goes outside, and he makes the mistake of trying to light a cigarette while he's wearing the wolf mask.
But he's also covered in alcohol.
Yeah.
He's like glistening, so drenched.
Ignites himself. The way that shot is so hilarious because it pulls back and you don't see him really burning. You just see like the outside shot of just flames and screaming outside.
Yeah. In this part, by this point, Paul and Alexander are kind of arguing because Paul's calling him out on his bullshit. He's like, we haven't seen your art. We've never seen you produce any money. We're always buying you dinner. What the fuck's going on here?
Well, and I think they'd even said something to him too during the Truth or Dare game, like, how much money do you actually have access to? Do you actually have $300,000?
And he says more like $500,000.
Yeah, he really just keeps upping them and agging them on.
Yeah.
So Paul takes command and injects Alexander with some truth serum.
Yes, which leads to some interesting discoveries.
Yep, we learned that Alexander's a complete fraud, doesn't have the money. He's actually a fry cook. And his plan was to get them to make cool art, kill them, steal the art, then sell it after they're dead because it'll be worth more.
Mm-hmm. And they're looking through they find this little book, this little journal that he has on him.
This is the best part.
And Jejun is written in the book. And he's like, what do you just look up shit to say to us to try to impress us? He's like, yeah.
But this whole time, Lexi's been running around with the dog and trying to get Macon not to be on fire.
Yeah, because she goes out and notices, and she ends up drafting the photo assistant.
Well, they go to put him out with a fire extinguisher that doesn't work.
Yeah, the first one's empty. It doesn't work.
So she runs back in. All of this while they deal with Alexander's going on. Then they run out and finally put him out. And the makeup is great.
Yeah, this is a really cool effect.
Yeah.
The mask is grafted to his face.
Yeah, it's like this could be like a horror movie villain, something like from The Burning or something,
Yeah.
He's super gnarly looking, but you think he's dead, essentially. I think maybe they showed him breathing a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, he's fucking gone.
And Zyko gets back.
Yep, he's got the crank. I don't know why I said it like that.
Oh, they also asked Alexander, is that even your name? He's like, no, it's Tim. But Zyko gets back, and Tim, just tells him to shoot Paul in the face.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Zyko, shoot Paul in the face.
Which he promptly does.
It is exactly how he says it. Oh, hey, Zyko.
Matter of fact.
And it's so sudden that Paul doesn't even realize it happened. He's still trying to get the shot right.
Right.
Yeah, he turns around. He's like, "Are you so fucking jealous or something?" And as this tiny little psst starts spraying out of his head, and then it starts pouring. Great blood effects.
All the gore here is really well done.
It's not over the top to where it's smart gore, I think. Mm-hmm. If you know that you don't have a budget, don't do something that's going to show your budget. And I think that's one of the things about this movie that's great.
It's smartly made.
It doesn't have a budget. You can watch it and tell it doesn't. But there's nothing about it that screams, I don't have a budget.
Well, that's the true hallmark of a good director and producer and all that stuff is that you work with what you've got.
Yeah, don't focus on what you can't do. Don't try to make what you can't do something that you can.
You make a good story that is filmable, and you have that foundation.
And there's no like, well, I wanted to do blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't matter. It didn't happen.
Yeah, you're not grasping for CGI effects that are well beyond your reach and bullshit like that.
So I didn't check, but I know that the actor that played Paul worked in makeup department on other films, and I'm curious if he was the one who did it, like if he had a hand in this.
I'm pretty sure he did. I can't confirm that.
It's great work.
Oh yeah,
it's
great. Really great work, and it's kind of sad to see that he didn't really go on to do like anything.
But at this point, Alexander just tells Zyko to kill everyone.
The shit's hit the fan, yeah. Because the dog starts to eat the crank. Lexi is attacking Zyko. Macon gets up. He's still alive. He's got that mask grafted to his face now. And he plugs in the chainsaw and starts cutting off Zyko's leg.
Yeah.
Another pretty good effect, too. And the whole time, Bill's just sitting there playing his fucking game.
The chainsaw gag is so funny to me because it's like he's always looking for a plug.
Right.
Always trying to find a plug for this thing. And one, it's either like never long enough, just out of reach, or like he gets it tangled up.
Yeah,
and it's just...
It's a problem with extension cords,
Some of it, I don't know how much was ad-libbed or just like happened. But God, the chainsaw gag kills me every time.
It was like it took me back to the turkey carver bit in Idle Hands, but just like blown up and expanded.
Oh, right, yeah. So Lexi goes over and tries to unlock Chris's chains, and she does, but then she's axed in the head by Bill.
Because at this point, Bill just casually sets his game down.
Very calmly.
And just says, everybody's going to die.
Yeah.
Everybody has to die.
Oh, also in that chaos, before the shooting gets stopped, the assistant, she gets it in the head.
She gets shot. Yep. And the dog has attacked Alexander in the meantime, and he's crawling back, and his half of his face is torn off, and Bill just starts beating him to death.
Well, and the reason that the dog attacks Alexander is because no,
his name's Hellhammer.
No, I think it's because Alexander / Tim said he was going to take him to the pound.
Oh yeah, the dog understood this.
Well, yeah. What are you?
He only likes puppies.
Yeah, he wasn't cute, and I was going to take him and have him put down. Is what he says.
Alexander's a shit.
Yeah, and I think the dog knew.
You think he knew?
I think he knew.
Wow.
I think the crank gave him
superpowers.
No, the confidence.
The confidence
to do what he wanted to do.
Yes,
like,
to be his true self.
He tried to stay in his place and like, yeah, this fucking guy, But then he ate that crank, and he's like, you know what?
So you're saying if you want to find motivation in your life, maybe try crank.
I did not say that.
That's what it sounded like to me.
I think it's if you're a dog.
I think the moral of the story is just to be open to try things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We can agree on that.
Never get so set in your ways that you're not open to new ideas.
If you think crank might open up some new ideas for you, you know what? I'm not here to tell you to not do it.
So Chris,
hi, I'm Michael from Genre Explosion. I want to talk to you a little bit about crank.
I actually don't know what drug it is, but I have heard about it from the streets.
Oh, I thought it was a Jason Statham movie or something.
That is a Jason Statham movie.
That's a different kind of crank, though, right? Is it like wattage?
Yeah, I think it's a type of methamphetamine is what crank is.
Ah, okay.
So Chris gets up and he starts running
that's
away.
Settled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chris is freed. The only person left alive right now is Bill.
And Macon.
Macon is unconscious. He passes out after he kills Zyko, after he saws his leg off.
Yeah, but then he gets up and starts chasing after Bill, too.
Yep.
So it's Chris running, Bill chasing him, and Macon chasing after Bill. And Chris gets up to the roof of the building eventually, and apparently he's had to piss really bad this entire time.
Well, I love the bit they do with like the conveyor belt.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where he's crawling up it, and then the other guy comes after him, and he hits the down button.
And it forces Bill to have to ride it all the way back down, press the up button, and then come back up again.
But this gives Chris time to take a leak.
Yeah.
Until Bill gets up there, and he's like, oh, God, hurry up.
Which is funny, because they do a thing where it's like he's pissing, and it sounds like it's going to stop, and then it starts back up again.
It's more powerful. Yeah.
How the expressions that the actor that plays Chris is able to do with his eyes, like you get so much
Yeah, because he's still got the helmet on, so it's kind of impairing his acting ability in a way. But yeah, you're right.
There's just so much he's conveying and so much comedy within just subtle movements. So the chase resumes.
And I appreciated this too because I thought with this budget and kind of what it is, I could really see the whole film just kind of being that warehouse room, like a one-room deal.
Yeah, which is fine.
But this doesn't it doesn't blow up and go like huge, but we get like a rooftop chase. They get going into other buildings.
Yep.
It really expands a good bit.
Yeah, he goes into he makes his way down into this big party that's going on, still being followed by Bill, and Macon is in pursuit with his chainsaw and then extension cord.
Yes,
he's learned his lesson.
He's very. It's really like a funny gag on Leatherface at this point. But now Chris is made his way downstairs to this party. It's on a rooftop, but he's starting to find his way down or whatever, and he comes in.
It's one of those things where the whole building is a party, and there's just different little sections.
Yeah, he ends up coming into a room where now these people are dancing. There's a bar. Looks like there's some sort of visual art thing happening.
Yeah, it's called a human interaction installation. Which he runs into to hide.
But there's a great thing on this dance floor where he gets behind some of the scenery and he's trying to sneak away, and then Bill comes in and he can't find him. So he's like, "Oh, whatever, I'm going to go over here and get a drink real quick."
Yeah.
And he's just sipping on that, and he
What's
turns
the name of the drink? It was can I get something about a pink panties or something? Pink panty dropper?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of sipping on it, and he turns and he sees the silhouette of the night costume behind the screen just creeping along.
He chose a poor hiding place.
So he sets his drink down, goes over and starts thrashing again now. But none of these people... None of these art assholes that are dancing seem to give a shit.
Well, they think it's a bit.
Yeah.
Right.
They all think it's all part of this.
It's Halloween. It's an art installation thing. Yeah.
But yes, then he goes and finds the room that Jason has aforementioned.
Yeah, and this is where we get Cicero finally.
Yeah, we
the
find
other
out
art industry person.
Cicero's the one organizing all this. It's his installation. And so...
It's just a small square room, and there's people in there. And it's supposed to be you walk in and just observe them.
Sure.
And it's a weird,
there's
artsy,
women
fartsy.
that are painted up. They're naked, but they're painted up different ways. And there's a guy half naked sitting on the floor. There's jack-o'-lanterns.
And so he just crouches down behind a vase.
Yeah.
And he tries to warn them. He's like, "There's a guy coming. He's going to kill everyone."
And Cicero's talking to Bill, saying how he digs his look. And... he's kind of complimenting on his art and stuff like that. Things seem to be going pretty good until Cicero mentions Alexander, and he wants that grant from Alexander.
Well, he says, "Alexander told me I was going to get a little grant money from him."
Right. So Bill's like, "Fuck it, everyone dies."
I think he says something like, "I fucking hate this scene."
Yeah, I fucking hate this scene. Yeah.
So then he goes into the art room and basically just starts killing everybody.
And this is maybe the only time you really kind of see that there's a budget and they're kind of pushing the wall of it. Because a lot of these kills are sort of out of frame or cut away from. And...
You don't want to make it too gruesome either, too, though.
They saved it for what's about to happen. Yeah. But Macon comes running up on this party now with his chainsaw and his electrical cord.
The rooftop. He's
on the rooftop.
Yeah.
And he finds, I think there's a boombox or something. Or there's lights plugged in. So he plugs his electrical cord into the lights and immediately fucking slips and falls off of the top of the roof.
Yep.
But it leaves the chainsaw falling, and it ends up dangling right outside of the window.
Yep, perfect.
Where Paul is... not Paul, but...
Chris, yeah.
Chris is in, and at this point, Chris is just hiding because...
He's resigned himself to death.
Yeah.
Because he's just standing there waiting for Bill to kill him.
Because Bill's killed everybody else.
Yeah.
He's axe to the face, all these people and everything. So then when he realizes, he sees the chainsaw, he reaches out and grabs it, pulls it into the window, and uses it on Bill.
Mm-hmm. And this is a good gore effect.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very simple effect, but it just works.
There's a bit of a struggle, but then he ends up pinning Bill against the wall, and it's just a great effect where he's chainsawing him in the face.
Yeah.
This is a total Leatherface kill because he's just gunning it on his face.
And it's the left side of his face, too. There's something about it being asymmetrical that makes it look even gnarlier.
And speaking of art stuff, yeah.
Well, but it allows Bill to scream, which he does. Yeah. And he has this look of crazed, and he's screaming while he's getting his head sawn into, but they're just spraying Chris with so much blood. It's like that's a full Dead Alive like spray.
Yeah.
So finally, when Bill stops moving and he realizes like everyone's dead, Chris is just kind of standing there like, the fuck is this going on?
Yeah, he says something to Bill, like he said, "You just ruined the party."
Well, he says, "I just wanted to party."
Yeah.
That was all he wanted, was to go to their party and have a good time.
So he's
and
leaving.
Isn't there a pumpkin? He picks it up and
puts it over his head.
Puts on his head. And of course, this is when the guests start filing in, and of course they find the whole thing to be intellectually stimulating and aesthetically pleasing, and it's so impressive.
They think
it's just this massacre
as designed.
Cicero makes this funny statement about like, well, we're not starting yet; they're not here, and he's like, oh, they're fucking they're fucking starting, and it's just like very, very over the top about it.
Yep.
On his way out, there's a security guard, and Chris takes his phone, dials 911, and hands it back to him.
Yeah.
Says, "This call's for you."
Yeah.
I think he says something like it's all real.
Yeah, it's all real in there. Yeah.
It's all real in there. So now we just get shots, like a montage of
him walking home,
of Chris walking home, and then the night goes through, and now we're at like early morning. The sun is up. He's walking next to a waterway. Like it looks exhausted. His watch beeps, which. We've already gotten some fun things we've skipped over with the watch beeping and the medication. He's trying to hide from Bill. The watch goes off. But at this point, he takes his medication out, getting ready to take it, and then he just chucks it.
Yeah, and this is where you get the shot of the label for like a split sec. I had to pause it and then make Tiffany tell me.
What was it?
Prezolam?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's to treat anxiety and panic disorders.
Yeah. So, yeah, he throws that away. Finally makes it home. Comes back to his doorstep. There's a few bits of candy corn left.
Not much.
So he goes inside, covered in blood, finally gets his helmet off, and goes, and we get Sir Lancelot is still sitting in his chair. Sir Lancelot, can you please move? And Sir Lancelot, they do the same cut again, but somehow the cat's face is able to say, "The fuck happened to you?"
Yeah.
How did they get a cat's face?
It's a good actor.
To relay
Puff
that
Snooty is a good actor.
Puff Snooty was just like
knows what's up,
and so Puff Snooty just gets up and walks away like you've earned it, man.
Okay.
Like,
and then it's sweet because he thanks him.
He says,
thank you, and then sits there and just starts eating his candy corn, still covered in
blood.
In blood.
And grabs the remote and
starts the VHS tape.
Yep. The end.
Such a fun little ending.
Yeah, murder party.
But it's a good character arc for Chris because he found his backbone to stand up to his cat, to have his cat move and not give in to them.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the journey I myself am on because I can't make my cats move.
It echoes from the start because he's giving that lady a ticket at the beginning and she's like browbeating him over it, even though she's in the wrong.
So we can get in. I don't know if you have any trivia things.
I do have
like
some.
to. There's probably quite a bit with this.
So you'll notice it in the credits, Lab of Madness. And so this was like a production company that started with Christopher Sharp, Macon Blair, and Jeremy Saulnier. And this actually started in the 80s when they were younger. They like grew up together and were friends. And they would do like little horror short films on VHS and Super 8. The very first film they ever made together was in the 6th grade, and that was Megacop.
I want to see
and that was from 1986. Later they linked up with Paul Goldblatt, Sandy Barnett, and Bill Lacey. And they would often do like video projects for their assignments in school because they had all the equipment and everything. And they even had filmed some stuff like they would do their own interpretations of things like Macbeth or Beowulf. All lost to time, I bet, but would be great special features on like a Blu-ray or something. After high school, they kind of all went their separate ways to different film schools, but they always kept in touch. And then as things progressed on, they linked back up to work together a little more. So their first actual attempt at a feature film was a screenplay called Mustache. Don't know what became of it. I couldn't dig up too much about it. So when they looked to doing Murder Party, they first made a short film called Crab Walk. And they were going to try to use that as like a proof of concept to raise a bunch of money. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any investors. And so they decided to just greenlight Murder Party with no budget in August 2005 and just do it all themselves and funnel in.
Yeah, having funded this, I mean, it's I mean, it's really impressive.
Well, and this is the benefit too of the film festivals.
Yeah,
because this hit big at the horror film festivals. Like they introduced it there. That's where I heard about it. And I want to say it was Rue Morgue that did a quick little article on it at one point because I subscribed to them for forever.
sounds like something they would pick up on.
Because I don't think it was Fango, because Fango was more like mainstream,
shall we say?
Yeah. Well, no, they didn't get paid to put stuff. Yes, they got fucking paid to put stuff in. And then it got picked up by Magnet releasing.
I like Magnet.
And Magnet was, during that time, was really putting out like a lot of those indie horror little darlings and the cover's great.
Oh, yeah.
The cover is such a good cover art that if you were to see it on a shelf, you'd want to pick it up. Man, the stuff that they've gone on to do, like I know that the rest of the cast hasn't gone on to do a whole lot, but Macon Blair, that dude's career is so fucking stellar.
Yeah.
Like honestly, as good as Saulnier's in my opinion. He was the star of Blue Ruin, which was the next film. Which, have you seen that yet, Dustin?
Yes.
God,
Amazing.
it's really good. He was the star of that one. He went on to...
He has a smaller part in Green Room, but he's very good in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went on to direct his own feature called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
Yep, it was a Netflix.
Have you seen
release.
it?
It's really good.
It's really good, yeah.
That's
it
one
has,
I hadn't seen.
it has Melanie Kinski in it.
Right. Yeah. I always meant to watch it. I just never got
And
around
Elijah
to it.
Wood.
And Blair, his next feature is going to be this Toxic Avenger reboot. He's writing and directing that.
That's so interesting.
Which, I'm just going to say no pressure, man.
Some people are already pooping on it, and I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I'm not going to tell you that Toxic Avenger is a classic that
it's
can't
an
be touched.
untouchable classic.
Like, I'm sorry, it's Trauma. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I love Trauma, but
it's fine. It's fine.
If Uncle Lloyd is going to give it a shot,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Right. If he's okay with it, I'm okay with it.
This isn't one of those weird things where it's like, well, we have the rights to the Toxic Avenger, and we're going to do it anyways.
Yeah,
it's not something Disney would pick up.
The clips that I've seen of Elijah Wood and Peter Dinklage, I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I want to see this.
Yeah, it's got an interesting cast.
You got any more trivia for
Yes.
it?
So the shoot was very, very hard, as one might expect from low budget and everything else. Pretty much everyone acting in the film had some secondary role that they also served on the production staff, which that gets a little bit into what you were talking about, Michael.
I didn't pay attention to whether his name was listed as special effects makeup on it too.
May have been. I didn't pull that. I forgot to. So, let's see what else.
Show notes.
Visual effect artist Chris Connolly was brought in to work in post-production on some of the makeup effects to supplement what they had already done on the set. And then this is kind of owing to the low budget of everything. When they did the Truth Serum game, they used actual hypodermic needles and they filled it with sterile saline.
I like that commitment because they didn't need to do that.
No.
But that's kind of fun.
Well, and I think Bill's the one who puts it in between his knuckles.
Yeah.
So, which there's so many little things like when we talk about it now that cue you in to Bill's psychosis and like that he's not maybe fully okay.
Yeah.
He does make a really funny comment line earlier that he's like, I don't even want to be here. I want to be at home with my mom and my dad watching a DVD.
Yeah. I felt that, man. I feel that all the time.
Paul Goblin did do makeup effects on this.
Okay, cool.
Nice. And then the last thing is just, guys, to hinge on what you said about festivals. So it got the Audience Award for Best Feature at Slam Dance that year. And it also got screened at some other high-profile festivals like the Maryland Film Festival. And it was generally a darling wherever it turned up at.
As it should be.
This was kind of in our heyday of going to...
Yeah, I remember the screening at some of the festivals.
Horror
too,
cons.
Like Horror Hound and stuff like that.
Because we were, at this point in our lives, like when this came out, we were hitting the horror conventions. Like anyone that came close to us, we were usually going.
Yeah, back when they were good.
Yeah. Before they were crammed full of like...
And everything's $50-$60 for...
I was a zombie in one episode of Fear the Walking Dead.
man.
Oh, my God.
And my autograph is $80. Like, that's where we're at now.
Fun times.
Yeah. But anyway, do we want to move to your all's thoughts on it?
Let's do
I
it.
think we can roll on, yeah.
Well, it was my film, so you know I liked it.
So you could tell us what you think.
It held up well for me.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly probably seen it like 3-4 times over the years.
Right.
I own it on DVD. I don't even know if it's on the
Is there a Blu-ray?
I don't think there is. I picked it up back in the day. That's because that was only way we were going to see it back in the day. So I bought it, owned it, watched it. But I haven't seen it in probably like 5 or 6 years. Honestly, it held up really well. And watching it from another standpoint of like having my wife watch it with me now.
I don't think there is a Blu-ray.
No, there doesn't seem to be.
Really fun to like have her react to it. If anyone cares what her thoughts were, she was like, I liked it. I don't really want to watch it again. So she said, I think I'm going to land on a solid 3.5.
That's
is
good.
where she was.
Nothing wrong with
I'm
that.
a bit higher. I'm probably like a 4. I'm a solid 4. There's a lot holding me back from 4.5. Definitely not a 5.
Right.
But I think it's solid 4. Honestly, just for the fact that this is a springboard for
everything else.
For everything else that happens, and then like Green Room's probably one of my favorite films of not all time, but like
it's of modern movie. Stuff.
Yeah, I really, really love it. So to kind of see where it all started, and also just the guerrilla style shooting of this, just really, it's very charming. Reminds you of all the horror greats, that did it before with no money. So I'm at a solid 4.
Nice.
Maybe I'll go next, and I'll let you wrap up. So I guess I'll start at the worst part of it first, which is you can feel the budget sometimes. I think really it's at that final act when they're going the hardest. But I think they played it well, and they saved the budget for the gore effects that are really going to make the difference, like that chainsaw scene.
Yeah.
Like the whole makeup, like fire burn mask molding thing, that's like one of the best visuals of the whole film. It's just so fucking awesome. And I would love to see them try to do this again with a bigger budget, but I also wonder how much of it was the restraints of where they were at that time.
Yeah, that's what I
without the money is like what led this to be created. So maybe it couldn't even be topped. Performances are great across the board. Every single person in here is perfect for the role that they have. Again, I wish there was a little more Sky, but someone has to die first.
Sure.
So sorry about your luck.
Just got to set the tone for the movie.
And then again, I appreciate the scope. I could easily have seen it be a one-room deal, but the fact that they actually blow up and they go on the rooftops and the other party and everything else, it just really gives it like that perfect where they just pushed it the little extra beyond just being like a first film that's a one-room kind of horror drama thing. And then I think even for his first feature, you get a lot of trademarks of like elements that go on to be a little bit of Saulnier's style in all his films. Right, so you've got like really brutal violence. It's very like documentary like and very in your face. It doesn't shy away from like not the gore nor the after effects of violence happening. Because I think that's a big thing with a lot of his films is we always see once the violence happens, the after effect of that both on the person that is harmed, but then also the people around them that have to experience that.
That's a good observation.
Yeah,
especially the breakdown of Macon. Once Lexi gets killed, that's like his whole arc into that final act.
Right.
And it's, the tension of like he's kind of losing his grip on his relationship with her and realizing that she maybe is not even that into him. But then to see her die and then he just snaps.
Yeah. Good point.
And then same with the arc with Chris of going from like this very passive person that's beaten down and then everything he goes through and then he finally snaps and fights back. And kind of realizes, like, maybe I need to take a little.
Maybe I can stand up to my guy.
Yeah, stand up a little bit. And so I love that. I love the very character motivation driven storytelling. I think there's some good social commentary in this about the art scene, about like the people that are kind of just in it just to be in it for the fame, and they don't really have like a point or a message. And I also think there's some interesting stuff in this about like jealousy in general. Like, a lot of the antagonists in this, the whole group, they come across very shallow, and they're very concerned about just making it and being big. But then it's like, what's your goal? What's your purpose? What's your point with that? And again, I go back to, like, Lexi's story in the Truth Serum game, and the fact that she's like, I hate when I see good art because of the way it makes her feel. And it feels like, well, I can't exist in this space because I can never be that good. And it kind of touches on that idea of, like, imposter syndrome, which is a thing I've brought up before that I definitely struggle with myself. And still do even now.
I'm the same way.
So it was cool that even though this is more of like a fun horror comedy, there are some deeper themes in there that it can make you think about and kind of ponder on a little bit. So yeah, I really, really loved it. I think just really the budget's the only thing that's holding it back from being like an ultimate movie. So I gave it 4 stars. I'm right there with you.
All right.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had also seen this before when it came out and loved it then. And I've probably seen it once or twice since then, but it's been a while. So it was good to revisit. And I agree with you, Michael. It holds up very well. See, I don't think the budget is a problem at all with this. I think it's a bonus because it really sparks true creativity.
Yeah.
And you could tell these people, Saulnier and all of his company, they're all just clicking. I mean, they're just working off each other, and they're all just firing on all cylinders.
It made me think of the Mumblegore crew and how all of those like worked together on different stuff.
Right. And I'm sure that they worked and were around all these, hoity-toity art students.
Yeah, especially if you're going to film school.
I have a feeling they know this scene very well and had very little patience for it. All the acting is great. The dialogue's funny. It's an 80-minute long movie.
Oh yeah, the length.
The perfect length for this movie. it doesn't overstay 1 second. No. It's perfect. The editing is great. Cinematography is good. It's not flashy, but it's appropriate. He's a great director, but he knows not to go overboard on certain things. He knows when to rein it in. It's a well-timed, well-edited, well-acted flick.
That's like the Jason seal of approval.
Yeah. I think you disagreed on Hold the Dark, but that's fine.
A little.
I started a little more with that one. That's probably
I do like it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I like that one, but it is my least favorite of his. I
Piper
think.
even said, she was like, how did he get from this to that? Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
Well, I think Dustin made a good point. I think it hit the nail on the head. You do see some of those seeds, this preoccupation with violence and the results thereof. That's good. I'm right there with you at 4 stars.
All right. Across the board.
Yep.
I feel like I kind of phone it in with you guys sometimes. Like I try not to pick anything real divisive. Try not to do any brimstones here or anything like that.
Those can be the funnest.
Sometimes you just walk into those and you can't help it.
This movie also, I forgot to reiterate how great it is for Puff Snooty.
Yes.
And I'm going to look up to see if Puff Snooty is in any other films because I will watch everything this cat does.
As cat fans, I always appreciate good movies with a cat.
Yeah.
So it's got that going for it too.
Well, that was fun. I'm glad that you guys liked it.
Super fun. Glad you brought this to us.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Glad
Thank you so much for
completed
joining
my
us.
viewing of his films because now I've seen them all.
Oh, excellent.
This was the last one.
Puff Snooty's only been in Murder Party, nothing else.
Too bad.
Made all their money. Then started doing a lot of catnip, and then you just don't see them anymore.
I hate to see that happen.
Yeah, I know. So what do you all got next?
So this was the end of our Halloween Odyssey.
Indeed.
And though we're very tired, we now have a listener episode facing us. And we figured that since we're kind of already in that horror mood and we've been hanging there for a while, why not one more to get us out the door?
Hell yeah.
Before I jump us off the tracks into some weird bullshit.
Uh-oh.
So digging into the old archive, we're going to check out next another new film to echo back to Tin and Tina. We're going to go back just a year to 2022 and check out Zach Kreger's Barbarian.
I still haven't seen that.
I've seen it, and I'm interested to get Dustin's take.
I have never seen it, and when the request, we've had this request for a while, we've been sitting on it, and when it came in, I said, I am not going to watch this movie until we do the episode.
Okay.
Justin Long too, right?
Yes.
We were discussing, Dustin is wearing a Goosebumps t-shirt.
I am.
And said, no, I have not watched the new show. And then we were discussing that Justin Long is in the new show.
I like Justin.
Which I'm going to say, it's not because I'm opposed to the show. I just haven't had time yet to get to it. So.
No, I get that.
I love me some Goosebumps.
All right. Well,
thanks for joining us, Michael. It's always a treat to have you back on here.
Yeah, I'll try to make it around sometime.
Come back and join us again sometime.
No.
Wow, okay.
But otherwise, if you want to check out Murder Party for yourself, by the way, it is on Tubi.
Yeah, free.
It's also on Amazon Prime.
Oh, is it?
Really? Shit.
That's how I watched it.
Oh.
No commercials, baby.
Yeah.
There's only like 3, honestly.
Yeah, it was swift.
Because it was such a short movie. There wasn't a lot of commercial breaks.
Right.
But that said, let us know what you think if you've seen this. If you've seen some of his other films, let us know about those.
Unless you don't like him, and then we don't want to hear about it.
We barely scratched the surface on Halloween set films. There's so many more. So if you have a favorite that you champion, you can send it to us. Let us know. We'll add it to our growing list of movies to check out, and I'll get to it one day for sure. Probably, eventually, hopefully, maybe before the heat death of the universe. And you can hit us up on Facebook. You can hit us up on Twitter. You can hit us up on Instagram. Email us.
It's X now, buddy.
Yeah, well, maybe we should mention that too. Who knows how long we'll be on there because...
Oh, yeah, if they start making you pay
accounts.
They could suck it.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll navigate that together with everyone else out there.
Yep. You're just moving to Truth Social now, right?
Oh, God.
I don't think we would be very well received on there.
Hey, these guys are too woke.
We'll be way too woke, and then we'll go broke.
Gone broke.
But the trick's on them because we don't make any money.
Yeah, we're broke as it is. Ha, ha, ha.
That's it's one of those memes like you can't get broke if you already are.
Yep. Can't get broke if you're already woke.
Email us at genreexposure@gmail.com. That one's always good if you like a little slower mail type thing. Or, conjure us on your spirit board. See what happens.
Wow.
I'm open to it.
If there's like a random hand that you can grab a hold of.
Yeah, let us in.
Michael will possess you.
Oh, wow.
You're just going to be sitting around like eating Cheetos and painting miniatures.
You'll wake up one day and be like, why do I have a blacksmith forge?
Why am I constantly yelling at my child? I don't even have a child. I'm not constantly yelling at him. It's usually just these two, so it's like, please don't stick your hand in that. That's going to hurt.
The same stuff your wife says to you.
Yeah.
The circle of life. So all that said, you have been listening to Genre Exposure.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.